It's funny, I almost took it out of my bag because I was like, it's so heavy.
Okay, I think we're good.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll do roll call. Carolyn is not here. Eleanor?
Here.
Anna is not here. Carrie Weeson?
Here.
Michael Brendan?
Good evening.
Callie West?
Here.
Cloud Clark? Not here tonight. Carl Ayers?
Here.
And Keith Knoll.
Here.
All right. Next, we have approval of the minutes from the February 4th, 2026 meeting. Did everyone get a chance to look at those other than the presentation that'll be added? Any changes? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
In a second?
Second.
All right. And then, do we have any public comment on non-agenda items? Nope. Okay. So we'll move on to our first and only discussion item, Newell Farm Park conceptual design.
Great. Thank you. I believe the last time Newell came with you all, Tyler was here in January, and and then we talked through maybe some of the passive park elements and where we were at so far. Throughout January, we had stakeholder interviews with a variety of venues to hear, if they had a chance today to redesign their amphitheater, how would they do it? What are they missing? What are the important things to make sure we lock into? And we learned a lot from Fort Collins to Arvada, Lakewood. It was very good meetings. So throughout February, they worked on a 10% concept, I think is what we're calling it. And that's about as far as we are right now, trying to move a few pieces around on the property, see where they fit. So that's all I'm going to introduce now. We can send it over to Tyler, and I'll let you introduce your other folks with you as well, Tyler.
Okay.
And let me see if I get this right.
So once again, Tyler Kiggins from Wank Associates. Thanks for having us back up here. I brought tonight Nicole Horst from Wank as well. She's one of the principals in our firm. And then Chris Weinman from Simple Brown. He's from the architecture firm that's been working on the project with us as well. I think our goal is I'm going to go through a presentation. Some of it you've seen before, so I'll go a little bit quicker through some of that. And then we're just going to go over 3 different plans and just kind of go over them in detail and discuss pros and cons of each. And then I think at the end of that, we'd like to just open it up to discussion and we're all 3 here to answer any questions. Our goal in the end is to really just try to come up with a preferred concept and get some direction from the port on which of these options or like where an amphitheater placement might be the best location, so we can kind of keep going into the next phase. Okay, so some of this we've gone through, but I just want to make sure in case there's anybody new. Reminder, Newell Farm is between I-25 and downtown Berthoud. And it sits on about 13 acres, and some of that is existing buildings. Most of the buildings are to remain, and there's the historic homestead on the property as well. This is a little different than I think we've shown before, where we did add the farmstead development just to the south and to the west of the park. Just to make sure everybody kind of keeps that in their mind about where future houses may be and how they may impact the park, and vice versa, how anything, an amphitheater or anything else may impact the future development as well. Other thing to note is kind of just almost just to the right of center in the park, there is a road coming up through the development, and the plan was to dead end that road into the park as for more of a neighborhood access and a small parking lot there for day-to-day use as well, like trails and other stuff like that. Going back, the amphitheater top priorities when we started the project were the family-friendly, impeccable sound, providing shade, and then the visual cues to the historic homestead and the kind of the identity that's already been established there. As Keith mentioned, we did work with the stakeholder groups, and we came back to the board and discussed what we learned from them. This is probably new information. This is what came out of the meeting with the Board of Trustees as kind of the top priorities that rose to the top of that meeting. So it was the 1,500 person amphitheater. They said we should try to get it up to 1,500 person and see what that looks like on the site. And then in addition, the naturalistic park setting as well, which is where we got that information from you guys the first time around. Infrastructure, they really wanted to make sure that this could be used for top touring talent in the future. So make sure we have the infrastructure in place to support that. Soft surface parking lot. I think we were all in support of that early on as well, just so we're not making large asphalt parking lots. One thing that came out of a lot of the stakeholder interviews was the potential to partner with non-profit organizations just to help with bookings. And we found that could be really helpful even at the beginning of the project, maybe if it opens for the first 5 years, 10 years or something, until the town can wrap their head around that. Like the idea of play, either for kids, sand, playground equipment, or horseshoes, bocce, stuff like that nearby the amphitheater, so that there is something to do in between sets or just keep kids occupied. Plumbed restrooms are a top priority for the performers. So back of house, kind of green room restrooms came out as something that everybody's really in favor of, and it's back to that infrastructure to help support the national talent. Keeping the smaller stage there. That was confirmed, like to keep both stages on the site. And there's a lot of discussion about how that smaller stage could then be used for more local performances or smaller, like a poetry reading or smaller day-to-day activities, or a school group could go there and see a performance on the smaller stage. You wouldn't have to get the larger stage kind of up and running for such a smaller activity. Bike parking, other transportation needs, just to try to reduce our overall parking on the site, and then keeping the farm feel that's unique. This is what we discussed last time, just the passive park needs. Nothing's really changed there. And then we just added this just as just starting to think of look and feel and character of the park and the amphitheater. And also just as a reminder, like there's somebody on there throwing horseshoes. Some of the concepts you'll see today, they don't go into that level of detail, like with the horseshoes and some of the smaller stuff. We're still kind of trying to move the big pieces around, the performance center, the amphitheater, parking, stuff like that. But this stuff we're still keeping in mind and trying to figure out how that can be incorporated into the rest of the project as well. And I'll point out some areas where this could occur, but we don't start to identify all that. But really leaning in on the historic farm character and the agricultural feel of the site. And then trying to, sprinkle in, if it is kids play, is it more naturalistic feeling and it's not like a plastic playground structure or something. So we have 3 alternatives. This first one we're calling Alternative 1. And this one, if you've seen previous plans for Newell Farm Park, this one's the most similar to that, where the amphitheater is located in the southwest corner of the site. All of these, we are kind of showing the stage facing north, sometimes a little east or west, but it's facing north for the most part. So in this one, there could be up to 3 or 4 entrances off of Highway 56, and so that's something we are still trying to contact CDOT and work through, where we may be able to have curb cuts and how many there could be in the future. We know there's 3 kind of out there right now. The one on the far east does not exist, and so that's just something to keep in mind with these. We think that a lot of them would still work. We just would change where access comes and kind of work around some of those, but we don't know the answers to all of that yet. So this one would be you coming from the west. That first right turn, you could turn in and go right to the back of house behind that stage B, which is the new amphitheater and the new stage. That provides like direct loading access to the new equipment, and without really having to like get into the rest of the site for like the larger performances. Also still adds some of the ADA parking, and then the loading for the smaller stage that exists. It allows kind of all that back of house stuff kind of on the center, kind of south of the existing homestead that's out there. Using some berms and maybe also dropping the amphitheater down a little bit below grade of the surrounding grades, so we are trying to minimize the acoustic bleed. We have play up there kind of in and around the historic homestead and the existing stages out there. We see that as a pretty cool opportunity. You already have some of that shade and some play activities. Also could be a little limiting just because there are trees and roots and other stuff there. Keeps the loading below stage A, really similar condition, and the green room that's out there in a really similar location. And then on the right-hand side, kind of the new portion of the site that's not the amphitheater focus would be more of the park. Have a lawn area in the middle there. That 20 ADA gravel parking lot, we think that would be a parking lot that could be used day to day. Anybody's coming out to just use, like in this example, the lawn or do the trails. And then you could use that for ADA and some of the or VIP or whatever parking is needed for the shows. And then the lawn, and then we are showing in all of these a 20,000 square foot performance space for the future, and you'll see that kind of move around in different plans. And then Moan parking for a lot of it on the kind of the southeast corner of the site. So with each of these alternatives, we did just come up with a couple pros and cons to think through. Not to say these are inclusive of everything, but this one first, like you could get to a lot of the parts of the site with really avoiding the historic homestead. You could bypass it on the sides and not really have to go through the center of the site and avoid that part. The separate loading zones from the general public, we think that's a pro for this one, so you're not mixing as much of that. All these extra roads and like the roads around the edges, they could also be used for trails. They could be soft surface gravel roads that could be doubled up as trail use. And then I did mention the play within the existing trees. Some of the cons that we came up with for this one was the acoustic bleed and visual, lights and everything into the neighborhood, both directly to the west and to the south. Potential sound directed from stage B up into stage A and some conflict with that. And then this is the other one where just if you're parking everybody on the southeast side of the site where it says Moan parking, to get to the bigger amphitheater, you are kind of traversing through some of the back of house and some of the other areas in those bigger event times. If it's okay, I'm just going to go through all three of them and we can circle back. Okay. Alternative 2 moves the amphitheater more towards the center of the site. As I said, it's still facing mostly north, but it's a little bit more northeast right now. This one, then you have that. You still have the green room, stage A, all of that remains the same. The historic homestead portion could be left pretty similar to how it is right now, and you focus a lot of your improvements on the eastern portion of the site. And then you have the stage B, you have loading behind it, and then that whole amphitheater as well, which you could even berm up on the backside to get more viewing down into the amphitheater. And then we've shown that play lawn zone that's just north of it, and that's an example of one of those areas we could start to put some play features or adult games, bocce, and stuff like that. And then the Performance Arts Center is off on the right-hand side, right next to the gravel parking lot as well. This one we felt was a pretty big pro of this one is that you are kind of sharing back of house for both stages. Loading, all of that type of stuff, infrastructure is all kind of together in the back. You're not necessarily taking somebody playing in the band by a golf cart over to the other side of the site. Like everything's just really located together there. It's one of the big pros. Minimizes some of that acoustic bleed from at least the neighborhoods to the south and west. As you come into the site, you get to go through the farmstead. That's kind of your entry sequence. And as you arrive at the site, you get reminded of that historic presence on the site. A future connection between the performance art space and the amphitheater, like locating those near each other. An example could be maybe that performance art space has additional bathrooms in the future. And you could those could be opened up for when the amphitheater is open as well. You could start to share some of that. And then shifts the sound to the center of the site. This one could require a future curb cut. We're not really showing it on here right now, but say that future performance space gets built, you may want another curb cut further to the east, and that's just something would have to be maybe worked out at that time.
Sorry, is that on this, where that second curb cut would go?
No,
okay.
It's on the very far east of the property, so it would be in a similar location to where this one's shown
okay.
on the far east. And then the third alternative is kind of similar. You're just switching from the last one, the amphitheater and the performance art space, east to west. You still get to keep a lot of the historic homestead, the Moan parkings on the west and the south over there. And then you basically, in the future, you would put this performance space in between the two, between the amphitheater now and the historic homestead and the existing amphitheater. North of that could be play, lawn, some of those game areas, a walk that gets you to the other amphitheater itself. Let me see what the pros and cons are. You could use this, where the performance art space is shown right now. in the interim, that could be another field. It could be turf. It could be something else until that space gets built. So we could use it for another use in the meantime. Once again, this is also separating a lot of the improvements from the historic homestead itself. Larger buffers all around to the main amphitheater, and then a centralized play food promenade or areas link that you see going kind of east-west with those X's over the top of it. That could become more of like a space for people going back and forth to the different stages and throughout the property. A couple of the cons we came up with is you do start to maybe park sometimes behind the stages and kind of back of house a little bit, and so you are walking through some of that. The distance between these two stages could require more infrastructure. They are a little bit further apart. You're not sharing loading as easily and some of that other stuff. And because of that, then like restrooms would almost be required at this new stage B location. Even in interim, you might not be able to use like the existing green room or anything else to just get too far away. Yep. So those are the three concepts. I did bring Nicole and Chris tonight as well, so we're willing to answer any questions, talk through these, however you guys like to approach kind of just pros and cons that you're coming up with as well.
Okay. Would anyone like to start with comments? Or
I have a
questions?
question. On 2, I didn't see alternative 2. The proposed performing arts center is the white block easternmost on this plan. Is
Correct.
that right? Okay.
Correct. And because that was so much further east in this plan and not really tied to like the stages, and that's where we thought maybe another entrance might be warranted in the future on that one.
I mean, I have thoughts. Number one is the design that I think is most like what we've seen in the past. I do agree with the bleed over into the neighborhood in terms of sound and sight lines. Of the 3, I would say number 2 is probably my personal preference. Number 3 is good too. I just don't like that performing arts center, depending on what that would look like in the future. From the amphitheater on the east side of the property, you would kill any thought of sight lines to the mountains, anything like that. So you would have this big building in between the amphitheater and any views that might exist. So with that thought, I think that number 2 is the one that I prefer personally. And it also creates, like you said, that opportunity in the future. If we're going to build east, then we can put another road in down the road and do all those little things. And so everything that would keep any construction to the east end of the property. Whereas if you had the Performing Arts Center in the middle, 5-10 years from now, when we decide to build that, then there'll just be a big construction site in the middle of the amphitheaters in the middle of the property, which might be a huge eyesore for a year or 2 or however long that would take. That's my thoughts. I would say of the 3, but number 2 is the one that I see it, I like the best.
It's helpful.
I agree. I think that it's really clear that the advantages of number 2 are condensing the 2 stage areas so they can share infrastructure and back of house. Really makes a lot of sense instead of spreading that out. And I like the fact that the original farmstead is kind of a little aside and can stand alone as a different point of interest. I also think, as Lauren mentioned, having as alternative 3, having the Performing Arts Center in the middle just kind of interrupts the flow of use. And if that's being built in the future, it could be super disruptive to what's already an amphitheater and activities that are already in place. So I feel it's clearly number 2's has a lot of advantages over the others.
I think number 2 is trendy, so I'll go with number 2.
Very popular.
No, in all honesty, I definitely concur with a lot of those points as well, and I like the idea of it centralizing a lot of the administrative and logistical functions. And the other thing that kind of comes to my mind is when you see that projected performing arts space, I'm imagining like a hard-sided building and stuff, and an increase in foot traffic and vehicular traffic. by having it on the eastern side of the property, you're kind of keeping it in its own little space and bubble. So that way, if there are times of high use, it's not going to necessarily interfere with the residents, and they can still have access to everything though, and it still kind of falls within the overall vision.
I have a couple questions, but they're not on the design. So I don't want to address those right now, but I'm just going to put a pin. Then I got some questions. I also wrote down number 2. Ditto, all of the same reasons. I'm not going to go over those, but there are some specific elements in the other designs that I really liked. One is that I like the promenade, the idea of having kind of a little lighted area. I think that's a little bit of the magic at Wagner, is that it's all lit up and cool like that. And I also think it might be nice to have kind of visual continuity, to have a promenade in the Western Park and then also
the
one.
Eastern.
Yeah, like I think it might be cool to be like the town of cool little lit up ways. And then if our Christmas lights our holiday lights rather, keep rocking like they have been, like maybe we get a reputation for our cool lights. And then a concern that I had about, I think most particularly about one, but just keeping in mind for all of them, is that 56 is a huge road and children are small and very mobile. And there may be alcohol involved here, especially when people may not be paying attention. And so I was a little bit worried about that play area, the location there. And for all of these designs, I would just want to make sure that we have some sort of like either soft or infrastructure or trees or something that kind of corrals the children within view, which I think that I know we've talked about that. So I might be there and just is not like called out specifically in the small details, but I just wanted to flag.
Okay, yeah.
And then the only other thought, which I don't think that we're going to go with alternative one, it doesn't sound like there's very much interest in alternative one, but just thinking about exit, as somebody who unfortunately leaves concerts early because I'm an early bird, I think that this exit also, I'm a little bit worried about the exit here in disrupting the show. And so I was wondering with this one, if we explore this one any further, I would love to see some sort of like ability to kind of create a loop to exit where it would be a little bit less disruptive. So I guess that's also a concern I have with number 1.
Yeah.
But if we don't land there, you can just put those in the file. That's what I got.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to bring, because you brought up 56. One quick thing is you can envision there will be a roundabout pretty close to there now. So because that's going to go in probably this year, I believe this year. So you can think of speeds hopefully getting a little slower because we're going to hit something. So just that's a good one. We are going to talk with CDOT hopefully this week or next week to share these and be like, are we going to be able to have this access like we want for these locations? So we'll have more information on that in April. Good comments so far.
Well,
Yes.
and one of my questions is actually related to 56 and connectivity, which is why I didn't want to bring it up now because it's more of a town question. But do you want to hear that now?
Yeah.
Because we're there. My question is connectivity, and because especially if we want to emphasize bike parking, right now the most direct route to Newell Farm would be 56, and that is not an enjoyable bike ride at all. And I'm also new to the committee, and so there may be connectivity things that we've already thought about here, but I just wanted to flag that as well, that we should really think about that with Farmstead, because I think that would be the best alternative. It would be to get, if we want people to cycle and walk and bike there, or use slower, more vulnerable forms of transportation, I think we should, plan to have a route through Farmstead to come back up into here. And that maybe I'm preaching to the choir and everybody already knows this, but.
I think that's what this neighborhood connection here, I think will be access into the neighborhood. And this one has 2, it looks like, on drawing number 1.
And I see that, but I just want to make sure that that's not like that shouldn't be a little social trail. Like that should be a pretty legit, nice trail for you to come in on, because that's the most comfortable way to come in.
Yep, we should have that connectivity. It's already, I believe, planned. So the long term one is there'd be a trail along Highway 56 all the way to I-25, right? We definitely have some properties between town and this property, the new property, that those are people's residences and stuff. So there's a little delay there. The trail does. There's kind of a regional trail after you go into Pioneer Park that heads through the current Farmstead development, and then that follows into Farmstead 2, which I think is under construction now, and then it's designed in Farmstead 3 to flow through Farmstead 3 kind of in a variety of ways, I believe, too. One will bring the regional trail up into Highway 56, so you would definitely have the regional trail coming from east to west. I don't know exactly in CDOT's right away where that would go, but you would have regional trail coming across on the north side, and then down on the bottom there are some neighborhood trails and stuff like that, but I believe it flows through that south road of Farmstead 3 too, as designed right now. Yeah.
And I kind of
Yeah.
figured that this was kind of cooked in, but I did just want to, I guess, call it up again. And then my last thought on like connectivity in 56 and trails and things is I'm a little bit worried that people are going to be tempted to park on the side of 56, and I guess that's something that I just would mention to you to maybe mention. Well, I'll let you use your discretion, but if it's worth bringing up to CDOT in the CDOT conversation, like preventing that, and navigating that, that is maybe one other thing.
That's a good comment.
Keith, just out of curiosity, do you know what the plan is for the speed limit on 56 in that area after they put, I mean, it's not going to go like 50 or 60 miles an hour to a roundabout and then back to 50 or 60 miles an hour, is it?
Oh, I don't have the exact one yet, since it is CDOT controlled. We'll try to get that information.
I'm just curious if there was
The
thought.
roundabout is over by the cemetery, right? Right where it kind of turns to 40.
Yep.
So it'll probably, I'm not a CDOT engineer, but it'll probably be 65 into the roundabout, 65, 55, 45, etc. And then probably down to 40. But I don't know the distances that are required for that.
Try to get that for the next round. Find that.
The roundabout will be at
Right,
County line.
42 is, yeah, county.
Yeah, and I could see west to east probably just sustaining that speed as it comes out of town. Kind of how it is now, where it's like 40, a gradual 45, and then the 65 that no one seems to know about, and continues to go 55.
So you want it to be faster, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. I won't go there.
I just want to back up something about the connectivity that Eleanor brought up. Maybe the next view of this, the next concept progress, it'd be helpful to see a wider map with those sort of access routes, paths and cycling routes from the center of town. And I don't know if this has been brought up in the past, but was there any discussion about running a shuttle from town? I know where I lived on the western slope, there was an outlying farm that had really big, that had popular and very well attended outdoor concerts. And for safety, the people who owned that performance venue offered a shuttle. It was within a mile of town, but it was just something they addressed for safety because that was another state road with a really high speed.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yes,
can
go ahead.
comment on that. The town is currently in the process of negotiating a deal with Raft to take over BATS, possibly. And one of their sort of services that would be offered would be for certain town events. I would assume the town would just have to contact them, but they would run sort of looping shuttles for birthdays, July 4th, that sort of thing.
That's such a cool idea. I really hope that happens.
Yeah, you see it sometimes at wedding venues. They know people are going to be drinking, so they offer parking lot that's centralized and then shuttles.
Can
That
I
actually-
see the bigger picture of two again?
Yeah.
Did they all the parking lots were at the were like just 20, and then where would the rest of the people park?
Then that mown parking on the left hand side.
Oh, Moan Park. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're the thinking is that day to day you could still have that smaller gravel lot, and then if there is a bigger show and say there's not a shuttle, they could mow whatever portion they need. For a 1,500 person amphitheater, there you need to park a lot of the site. Essentially, a lot of what's left over that you see on there is parking.
I mean, and I think maybe it's worth just being, it's not 1,500 cars, it's
Yeah.
about 700 cars, is that right?
Yeah,
We
or
kind of
half,
factored
yeah.
Half the capacity of the amphitheater.
You may talk about passing through the homestead to get to the amphitheater.
So say that again. Oh, from the parking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris brought up like from this parking, there is the option. I mean, you could go kind of back of house, but we could help to redirect people so they're not going to those loading zones. And you could start to redirect people to actually go through their homestead and kind of experience that as they're walking from their car into the amphitheater as well.
I think that's where on this one you might have the option to create the promenade and align that.
Yeah.
And what's shown there with play was one of the ideas that Sarah and Butch had brought up of a silo that maybe was attached to the Performing Arts Center, but we kind of separated it and thinking that that could be a play kind of observation tower. So another kind of interesting thing to that promenade and something to go to when there isn't an event on that kind of gives a prominence to the rural character and something unique for the property. So that was in
Yeah, good
all
point.
of them, but
Yeah.
just that's what that circle of play is.
Yeah.
So you come in this, and then you park, and then how do you leave? Not through the loading zone, not out the other. It's not a loop. You come in, you see the show, you park in Moan Parking. Where
And
do
then
you,
you-
how do you leave?
Probably, I mean, in this one, you'd be parking over here and then probably going back out the same way.
Okay.
Like most people are parking here for the show.
Is that big enough for cars to be going both ways at the same time? You
For
got,
this road?
people coming in. people
If
out.
it's not now, we could make it be. Yeah.
That I believe is how they park.
Do it now.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think of how of going in and coming out, and I was like, wow, that's a very small road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that's where they park all the vehicles now.
We face them all in the same direction.
Mhm.
And so when they come in, they face north, so they can go right back out the road when they need to.
Okay.
So we turn them around,
Okay.
and then they can just drive out. And if you look at what's known parking, about a third of that is what we use for 500 people.
Yeah.
210 cars is the maximum we've ever had for 500
People.
And so we look at it as about 630, 650 cars for 1,500.
100.
Because you got bikes, and we're gonna encourage golf carts. We don't have bikes,
Yeah.
you know? So 210 is the most we've ever had. That was when Riders in the Sky was there. Took about a third of that. Now we use, just 1 year, we tried using half of that or a little more than that, and that's how we turn them around. Otherwise, we had them pull in straight, and then they would go straight. At the end of the night, they would go straight and turn around and sell. So bottom line is, with that much space, you can bring them in, turn them around, have them facing north, and at the end of the night, they can just head on out.
Okay. And it hasn't been a problem. The people that you have using the one road going in and out hasn't been a problem.
No, we've only had one person back into somebody. And other than that, it's never been a problem. And they get out in 15 minutes. It's amazing. But we also have a sheriff sitting there.
Okay.
So we have a sheriff sitting there upon entry and slowing everything down. And there's seating CDOT, if we can get the town involved, we can get signs, slow down, slow down, slow down. And then going out, it's late, you know, tonight, at night, but if we were to do, we want 6 shows or so, so if we were to do it in the day, it might be different. But, we can't believe how well it works. 15 minutes, that's it. People are kind, and I think the only trouble is when you're walking to your car while people are trying to get out, and it's dark, we get a little worried about somebody walking in front of a car and somebody not seeing them. So, you know, we're gonna wanna think through how to allow people to walk along the edges until they get to the row or something like that. You know. And then the ADA, I don't know where ADA parking is.
On this one,
Yes.
well, we think that there could be some in that 20 vehicle lot.
Okay.
However, you could also, I mean, we could start to do some, like if we needed it as part of this and not from the neighborhood as much. I mean, there's opportunities back here as well where we could formalize a little bit of that at the back of house. I mean, as a first thought.
That actually raised another connectivity and parking, I guess, flag for me. And it's that the golf carts are they're not supposed to be using 56. So we also need to think about connectivity for golf carts. And if they're coming in on the bottom edge of the park, the same way that bikes and pedestrians are coming in, or I guess pedestrians, maybe they come from 56. But I think if they're using the same paths as bike and pedestrians, there's an opportunity for conflict there because I will admit I don't have a golf cart. I'm a pedestrian, and I get a little bit annoyed whenever they're blocking the sidewalk when I'm walking to some of the big events downtown.
Do they go on the sidewalk or do they go on the street?
They are part. They
Or do they go where they want?
I
All the
they
above.
yeah they go where they want to. The considerate ones park on the street. So anybody listening who has a golf cart, thank you for parking on the street.
I'll actually add to the layers of complexity for Flow. Uber, Lyft,
Oh, yeah.
all the ride shares, you know, and I guess my question to that would be when you were throwing these together and you're defining loading, or is that more so for like stage equipment? Okay, so that's
Yep.
actually, so then that kind of brings in, you know, like what would that flow look like? And I know we're very early in the process, but if you have the ride share stuff going on, kind of a la the you know, the folks who want to imbibe a little much and
Yeah.
don't want to drive, how would that would look too?
Mm-hmm.
Especially as you're trying to flow traffic out, and then you've got all those folks who,
Waiting for rides.
yeah, and you know, you have folks that generally aren't from that area that are driving in that area, and they're just trying to get in, get their person, and get out. So that's probably a consideration moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only show I can think of that I went to that had an entrance like this where it was in and out, and it was a nightmare, and I can't think of the name of the venue. I'll have to go back and look it up, but that's exactly what it was. It was people coming in, not just like I'm coming in, I'm seeing the show, at the end of the show I'm leaving. It was people leaving in the middle of the show, and you know, and then Uber coming in, and there wasn't a lot of room to turn around, and that's just that's the only one I'm thinking about is people trying to use the same road going different directions.
Red Rocks
Well,
every time.
yeah, well, even with like 2 or 3, but this venue only has one. It's like a park in Denver, right in the middle of Denver. I don't know. I'll look it up.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect any road would fit 2 vehicles.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
just
both.
coming in and turning around and going out, and people turning left and right on that one road. It's set up very similar to this, and it wasn't fun.
Okay.
We don't have people calling Uber, and we don't have bikers, you know, bicyclists and stuff, so that's a problem we have not solved. And it's a problem that would need to be solved. You're spot on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if we're gonna have people loading, you know, that aren't ADA people separate, then we've gotta have a place that isn't along that road for them to load. If maybe they come through the neighborhood.
Yeah, even down here.
Connection,
Yeah.
and they tell them a different address or something, right? But that would be a real problem, because
Mhm.
if there's people standing in the way, or you have a car parked in the way, it ruins everything. Right, we just
Yeah.
keep people moving, that's our job, right?
Well, and this is where. Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Well, there's 10 people parking here,
Well, this is where you have an opportunity for golf carts for good to like shuttle from the ADA lot to wherever they need to get to.
It's tricky though, because a lot of ADA people honestly can't get in though.
Yeah.
It's tricky to learn.
I don't know, I mean, I don't know if I like this idea, but it is one option on this concept of the road coming into the farmhouse is.
The center one?
Yeah, and
It's not really highlighted that well.
we didn't highlight it because we kind of wanted to let that kind of be its own, but you could do a loop with the ADA being that pink area that, do you have a mouse?
Here?
Yeah, like that could be ADA, and then you could loop back for rideshare coming in and out down the farm entrance, but just a thought.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what CDOT says.
Yeah.
Entrance.
Yeah.
That's
They
where,
made it real clear that they're gonna want to reduce the number, of entrances. They don't want 4. There's 4. Is there a reason why the Far East one was left out?
It's just different options, and some like one of them we have it on there, and then this one we didn't. Just trying to explore like if CDOT needed to close and we didn't need all 4, what could it look like?
Well, how would people get to the Performing Arts Center?
That is in that case where maybe we may need to add that entrance when that comes online in the future.
Okay, so that would be something to talk to CDOT about.
Yep, to make sure that it's still a possibility in the future.
And the parking would then be on the east of that? If that's what
Yep.
you want?
Yep.
And that would be safe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just quickly, the areas that have kind of those little circles on it, are those just low-lying areas that would be like watershed kind of?
Oh, these are actually the berms, so these are actually
Other
going
berms.
up
Okay.
in elevation to help kind of screen sound and visually.
I mean, theoretically, you could kind of move everything on the south end, over, like where the loading is, kind of move the stage over, move everything over a little bit, and maybe pull some more parking in there. I was just thinking, if you were talking about things like shuttles, you're going to need a really good turnaround at the front of the property where they're not coming into the property. So where it first comes in, you could take that first acre or whatever that is, or half acre on the front end of the lot, have like a loading, unloading zone where you could pull shuttles in and Ubers in and that kind of a thing. And I mean, you could do something easily like that and just take up a real small portion at the top,
Yeah.
because you wouldn't even want them coming in
All the way in.
all the way in,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
just going to create havoc. And have, I mean, logistically, like having an ADA shuttle where you're having people come to a different, like coming into the neighborhood entrance on an ADA shuttle that's different from the one that brings everybody else or something like that. But I think those are logistical things. But like if you moved where the loading area is, if you kind of moved, you could just like move these things around on the back end here just to squeeze in more parking
So you
going
can
east.
get
And then adding that part at the top where you could have a loop where you can load and unload, 15-minute parking.
That's a good thought. Yeah.
And then you were saying, Sarah, you were talking about that entrance to the east. I remember when we did the tour, I thought you were talking about that they didn't want that to be an entrance at all. Is that?
Oh, for like CDOT's comments?
Mm-hmm.
So through the years, all I've ever heard is, I don't know it all, but the property has residential access, and then like it would stay that way, which means like 11 cars in and out during the day, and meaning they wouldn't want like a commercial access type thing happening. But that's, they've done that to other properties along 56 and have said that. I believe there's one just to the west where they had to maintain access through the Farmstead neighborhood to access the property a little more. So, I mean, they've declined it before, and they kind of were telling us similar things, but now that we have a drawing and we can start talking to them a little more. And
Is the property zoned as residential?
oh, I don't know if it's been, I don't think it's,
Okay.
I think it'd be right there.
Not zoned as residential.
It's ag zone, but what they said was they don't want to change, it would be right now, it's considered a farm upon which we live,
Mm-hmm.
and it's ag zone, so it's a residence. And then this will cause a change of use. And the change of use then causes a negotiation of those core access points.
Right.
And depending upon the volume of cars that will need to go in and out of those access points, they will have a different discussion. And their words to us have always been, make sure the town's doing the negotiating because we only negotiate with towns. We don't care what we want. Right? And if the town needs to use it, the town can talk to us about how they need to use it.
Okay.
Can I ask you, Sarah, is there something that, like, what, do you have an ideal entry exit point here? I guess, if you, I just want to get your opinion if you're going to live there, too.
Yeah. Let's see, it's, I think we're gonna need that one on the far east. There are two things. One, I wish the town would buy the lot to the east, which is owned by Kelly Lynn, because it would enable us to then have all of that. But that aside, that access to the far east, I think is gonna be really important, when you get a community arts center where people are coming in and out for their pottery classes and watercolor, whatever, and then a performance of 750 seat, community arts center, show. I don't think we're gonna get to keep all three of those entrances, so, to the west. So I think we need to accept the fact that probably our driveway will have to go away. And we're gonna have to come into our house from one of those other two roads. And whether that means we go down behind the barn and come back up, or as Nicole was saying, there's kind of a loop there, and we create that. But we're gonna lose that driveway, I'm pretty sure.
That's your driveway in the middle?
Their driveway.
It's green.
And so, I don't know where our mailbox would sit or any of that, that doesn't matter, but I think the two roads you all are showing as major entrances, I think we'll be lucky to get both of those. But I think it's the only way you can go. I think you can go there with those too. And I think that we have to. Now, what you would say is everybody parks via the western entrance, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the eastern, the eastern entrance that's on this, is that only for bands and
Yeah.
RPs?
Yeah, that's what we were thinking in this one.
Where do food vendors, where's food served here?
And this one, we're thinking like where you see play and lawn and the row of trees, kind of just north of the amphitheater.
Yeah.
That'd be a good location for that, like a line similar to that promenade type experience, that walk along that edge.
So, because the town's thinking, you guys are thinking that you're gonna want food trucks. I think that's what I saw in here. We don't do food trucks, and because they can't serve fast enough. 500 people can't get served with a couple food trucks. So, but if you end up with 20 food trucks, you might be able to serve some hundreds of people. I don't know. So the trucks would come in that eastern, and they would drive down and line up.
Yeah, that could be a possibility for that one. Yep.
Otherwise, that's where we get the Lions Club. That's who we use.
Yeah.
Because they buffet people for so fast, right? So we would want to think about if you also want to do something like the Lions Club, or you've got PEO, you have churches, you have so many organizations in Berkeley that would love to provide food. So we just need to think about that. But I think those two entrances are fine, and you can just negotiate with CDOT and figure out where our driveway what I like about this is that when people leave, their headlights don't bother the amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real problem. Their headlights kind of will bother the stage A, but what we're really talking about here is stage B. And you just don't want headlights constantly getting in the way.
Thinking about what you were saying about food trucks too, I just wonder if you're going to have them park on that north little road there, there's nowhere for them to turn around and leave, and a lot of them are trailers.
Yeah.
So it might make sense, like where this little neighborhood connection is, if there was like some kind of a little service road on the south side of that berm that connects to the loading
Make a little
roundabout
loop, yeah.
there, because you're going to have, I mean, those trailers are going to come in, even like the big truck type ones, they're tough to turn around on a little road like that. So you'd have to have some way for them to exit.
Could that also create a connection to the ADA lot if there was a service road down there? I don't want to crowd out that trail either, but I really wish we could have the Eastern Access Road, honestly, because I think in planning it just makes sense if, I guess I'm a little bit optimistic that we're definitely going to be able to do this Performance Arts Center eventually, but it does tackle the problem too of access to ADA, and that's what I like about it. But I don't get to control that, so.
What if we use the far west road and requested the far east entrance?
That's what I'm
The
thinking.
problem with the far east entrance was it wasn't allowed to be a through road. That's the only restriction we could impose.
West one.
But we're not asking for a through road, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Concept 3 has it.
Uh-oh.
I think if we kind of work with some of the circulation of concept,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
switch the performing arts and the amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of things about 3 that you guys are talking about,
Yeah.
but it's what you don't like is the performing arts center. And
Yeah, just flip-flopping the Performing
Yeah.
Arts Center and the amphitheater.
The reason why that sort of works is because that's a long way from the roundabout. They have made it very clear over the years when they told us, let the town talk to us, is they don't like entrances close to each other.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't like anything close to the roundabout. But they have to give us something. They can't make us go a half mile down the road to get to our house. And if it's something that's used only sometimes per year, they may let you change our driveway and use it every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if we do what we promise now, which is share us.
Yeah.
So we're okay with changing our driveway and then go for the far east. And I love that. I mean, now all of a sudden you can go to Denver, you can go to town. You're right, Nicole, that's better.
Yeah, I think taking some kind of mishmash of those two designs. I mean, I like the amphitheater being closer and having that central back of house area, and then having some circular way to leave for all of the bands, and they might have trailers and food trucks and things like that. I think that's reasonable.
I also like the angle of the amphitheater and alternative too.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think it just sets you up for a cooler experience and a cooler view shed. So I think that keeping that angle too, I think is worthwhile.
That's the favorite view shed, southwest.
Mm-hmm.
People who come there because, yes, they're used to seeing the west, but they're not used to seeing Pikes Peak, from now. And they can see all on the southwest, you see the entire Great Divide, right? And it's pretty different.
especially from the silo tower.
Right. Now here, the silo tower would have to be pretty tall because some of those trees are
Yeah.
90 feet tall. And if you go to 3, it's a little farther away. But what we're talking about is southwest. They're gonna look southwest from the silo tower, right? And that's gonna be spectacular. And then they're gonna look onto the trees in the farm, which has got its own view. And then east to
That's
You
view
think it
from
like
the show.
right?
That's the view of the show is from there.
So in that tree, can we go back to
Yeah.
the tree? One of the things I liked about two was you had the silo near the entrance, and it created, you're trying to create a farm feel. You go next to a silo, there's probably gonna be a wagon sitting there, you know, that kind of stuff. So how would this, how would this welcome people into a farm with this nice flow here?
Like as you, I think it'd be similar to the we were talking previously. You could, if you park on the west, you could funnel or kind of direct people to go towards the historic homestead as they work towards the amphitheater.
Yeah, so they basically walk through the yard.
Yeah, and in that case, when stage A isn't in use.
Yeah, yeah.
Then the silo becomes this beacon that you're pointed at and you pass through, and that's your magnet
where you're headed.
that's pulling you there.
Okay.
It was kind of the idea of your feed barn, you know, if it was the dairy barn that you were kind of taught that it's set farther, it's like 300 feet away and you kind of walk through, you walk from the farmstead to the barn and you have that experience through, and that's what that was kind of
Yep.
trying to create.
Yeah, so
Because they don't sit next to each other in historic farmsteads, right?
they don't,
Right. So
because
that,
of the flies and stuff.
Right.
So what these folks were picking up on was, if you look at the Performing Arts Center, I get your concepts of, I understand your idea that you don't want the amphitheater to look into a wall, okay? I get that. But that Performing Arts Center was going to look like a barn. Okay, you still don't want the amphitheater looking into the side of a barn. Okay, so that's cool. But what we didn't say was that the Performing Arts Center was going to look like a big dairy farm or something like that. So that the whole farmstead looks like, you know, like in the stage is going to look like some kind of outbuilding.
Mhm.
It's all gonna have a rural feel.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying you should pick this, because I get it. And frankly, if you wanna do festivals, you need those two amphitheaters to be closer together. You need them to be to where you can walk from one stage to another.
Yeah.
You do. And that's too far. But I think you will get, when you go to CDOT, if you do these two entrances,
Yeah.
I think you will win. I think you will win it. You will get it.
I think there's a modification, like we can meld two
Yeah.
and three together to come up with something that is based on the conversation. That kind of meets all the criteria.
And then I think just logistically, again, like that 20 vehicle parking lot, that's probably close to what the requirement is for a facility this big. Is that fair to say?
For like ADA.
Like 1,500, yeah, for ADA parking.
I don't know for certain. I haven't looked it up close enough.
Because you could, I mean, just to deter people from trying to come from that neighborhood entrance. Just
Yeah,
make that
and-
all ADA parking in that, and
Yeah.
for events, and then that way no one else is trying to come in that way.
Yeah, and we don't want people driving through the site to get to 56.
Right.
Like that's a dead end essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so just making that ADA only with events, and then having it be.
Well, I think though during like day-to-day park, you might want some other parking there
Right.
as well. But
Just-
just have enough ADA that's covered for everything. Yeah.
One of the things to keep in mind is, the gardens on Spring Creek,
Mhm.
they actually have enough ADA parking. It's the only place I know that has enough, and it's way more than is required. And we have 16 places for 500 feet.
Okay.
16 ADAs.
Yep.
Because it's hard. I mean, you're walking in a field. And we get people in wheelchairs and walkers, and they know they're coming in a field, but to get a walker across grass clumps,
Mhm.
they gotta work at it, right? And that's why we had talked about loading, you know, for ADA, but if we have a parking lot, we just need to make sure it's nice and big.
Yeah. And we could still even provide a trail or a path to get to the amphitheater. It's not through the field or something as well.
I have some questions. I don't know if there's how much consideration has been put into restrooms and porta potties. I noticed one of the priorities was a plumbed bathroom for use by the performers. So I assume a plumbed bathroom would be adjacent or part of the green room. Is that the thought? And that would be obviously the performer's private space. It wouldn't be a public restroom. For the public, were you thinking porta potties are brought in whenever stage A or stage B have a performance? There's porta potties that are temporary. What about if this is a park and there was some discussions about it, if it's open to the public to go and walk around the area, and they want to just go out and when there's not an event or performance taking place, what about restrooms for them?
Well, there are trees.
We do want a rustic feel.
Right. Yeah, a lot of our past varies have, vault toilets or portable restroom set up. I think a big connection would come if this neighborhood came through. They'd bring sewer up to the site, and that's consideration right now. But it just depends on, this other party. We don't know all their details for sure. Yeah, but their sewer is designed to come up to the site. Yeah, the town
So then
sewer.
putting in plumbed bathrooms.
Yes.
There would be plumbed bathrooms down at the neighborhood connection pathway? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, just the sewer comes up there, so then we could bring it on the site anywhere we need to. But that's probably the most logistical way to get, to have sewer brought to the site. So it just depends on what gets built first, really.
Yeah, the green room that exists now has one toilet. We put that in. So I don't see a plan to build anything, any bigger green room or anything. Like, you guys are you basically saying that green room that exists is?
I think we're saying that could be an option for at least maybe the stage A that's out there. Stage B, we've discussed maybe the green room goes into part of that as well, maybe. And then restrooms for those performers is a possibility there as well.
So, Keith, you were talking about, no, it was Danny was saying we don't want to put in a leach field and septic system. But what about just, if we did stage B and we had restrooms, what about pumpable? We can pump out the septic that people use.
Right, like the vaults, yeah. But make them flushable too. Same way, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it looks like a bathroom,
Mhm.
but later, sadly, it gets taken care of.
Mhm. Yep, we don't have any yet, but I can look into that. Yeah.
Only thing I would throw into that is smell.
Yeah.
Because those things vent and they do not vent pleasantly.
Oh, so you have to make them that.
Well, I mean, it just
You can't.
yeah,
vault
there's no real good solution for that. And then when you factor in temperature and all that, not to go down too much of a rabbit hole, but yeah, there are challenges inherent to that.
So can we put in septic? Because we have to put septic in for stage B to be.
Oh, I don't have the answer today. But it's just comments we'll look into, yeah.
Just not a no, though, right?
Not yet. We're so early, for sure, on it. So these are all good comments we can start diving into a little deeper. And nice restroom trailers too. I think right are options.
Yeah.
Is a plumbed restroom for day-to-day park users and some concert goers something we should look into?
I think day users should have some sort of restroom that's not a stinky vault toilet,
Yeah.
whether it's plumbed or otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the reservoir, that bathroom that's there, it is seasonal, but that is a great amenity for that area. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
It's
the bike park.
that thing is impeccable, honestly.
May to October, yeah. Be open, yeah.
Is the bike park seasonal?
The-
There's
bike
porta
park
johns.
bathrooms?
It is 4 season, the bike park.
That is 4 season.
Yep.
All right. Any other comments, questions?
I do have one more question, and I think it's a pretty easy one though. The nonprofit operating thing. Can you just like I just can't picture what nonprofit operates those kinds of things, and so I just would like an example or something.
Yeah. Chris may be able to help me a little bit too, but there is an organization in Denver that we did talk to, Swallow Hill, and that they basically they run music education programs and they help basically set up for concerts and events, and they that's what their staff is dedicated towards. When we were discussing, like talking through this with other venues, they made a point to say that sometimes like town staff and stuff isn't trained, and the hours are different. It's just kind of hard to do that sometimes. And then the expertise for like booking shows and stuff as well, it could be like a nonprofit.
Yeah, year round they have got booking staff who book performers into the facility that they operate year round, but they also organize the concerts for the Denver Botanic Gardens. In the past, they've booked for both Chautauqua and for Arvada, and they are currently doing that for 4 Mile Historic House in Denver as well. So they've got experience with a range of sizes and operations that would potentially make that useful.
And they were one of the stakeholders that you interviewed too, right? Okay, so
Correct.
we're already like linked. Cool.
Yeah, we were talking with them specifically about 4 Mile Historic, but they were very generous in sharing information that, you know, the forms that they use and other kind of priorities as they think about booking. I mean, that a lot of that has to do with ultimately replacing the expertise that Butch and Sarah have. Yeah.
There's also things like the Bohemian Foundation in Northern Colorado that provides grants for music programs,
Yep.
like to help bring in talent and bring in those things. So we've done that with Wildfire, and they've provided grants to bring in our bands and things like that for our events.
Cool.
So
Yep.
And then there's the Levitt Foundation,
Yep.
who books for you and pays for it. And then, all of these organizations route between them.
Yep.
Right? So that makes for more affordable.
okay, Carl.
Do you mind?
No.
Can you go back to the overall of the 3?
Yeah.
All of your comments are amazing and very useful. My only minor comment would be that, access roads aside, et cetera, but for the number 2, unless you guys disagree with me, I like the layout of the amphitheater in number 1, but in number 2. The more organically circular shaped round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah, good point,
I
Carl.
didn't even look at that. Yeah.
I think I just discounted one once we all got excited
We
about
did.
2.
We all.
Yeah.
That was all I had. Thank you.
I also like the when we're not having a concert, if the park is available for use. I also like the way the parking and street is laid out in 3 because there's more of a loop there for joggers to go in and hikers to go in and around. Where in 2, it's just kind of, there's not a loop through. Then I like that. And then just as you said that, the venue I was thinking of is Levitt Pavilion in Denver, where you come in and you come out. Yeah, that was the one that I couldn't think of the name of.
And you did not enjoy that.
I did not enjoy that.
Okay.
Just let me think. No.
Okay. I did not. Just so we're clear.
No.
Okay.
Rideshare is very difficult.
Yeah.
Parking in general.
At Levitt.
Very difficult.
Well, and the 3 really gives some options for different directions to go. You can get out of there now 3 different ways. Right, you can go south through the neighborhood, you can go west.
Except we can't connect the neighborhood.
Well, on a bike.
You're walking.
Yeah.
Biking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
So you can go west and you can go east.
So it seems like we've been moving towards a hybrid taking the best of all
Yeah,
three
yeah.
that we like, which is the whole point of
The rounded
Being
of
at
one,
this-
the
yeah.
layout of two, the parking of three.
this is what we like.
Perfect.
Okay.
I want to check if there's any extra public comment since there's
Yep.
a few other people in there.
Do we have any public comment?
These guys have some comments.
Okay.
Yeah, public bathrooms.
Public bathrooms, please, as many as we can do. 1,500 people, wow. With porta potties and then the other, you know, if you're gonna have use in there as a park, you know, people need a facility. They need water. They need access to water and bathrooms, I think. I mean, even if it's just, you know, 4 or 5 or whatever. I would really like to see, you know, that. And I was just dreaming of a water feature, but I don't know if there's water on the park and, you know, do anything with water there, but that would make it nice, but, just a thought.
Can you share your name? I'm sorry, I'm new to the committee. Can you share your name? Or
Jermaine French.
okay, thank you.
I think water bottle fill stations are also becoming more incorporated in parks and place, you know, all sorts of public places. And, you know, with our climate and an outdoor venue, you know, having the plumbing available to offer, instead of a water fountain, a water bottle fill station is pretty helpful.
I agree.
That
It's
works
like
too.
the old days, yeah.
Any other public comment?
People really, love the fact that we provide running water to wash your hands. It's a hose, literally, a hose that goes to 2 sinks. It's a double sink, right? And they can turn it on and it's cold, but there's soap and there's paper towels. So we're thinking of working with a Eagle Scout to build a portable sink station that could then be used with the new amphitheater, so that there can always be running water instead of those portalettes.
It could be designed to look like a dairy trough or something, an animal watering trough.
There you go.
And then it could be carried in for the show.
Yeah, pails.
Whatever sheds or whatever. But these folks have a really good point, which is, just like at Wagoner, where are people going to be able to go to the restroom and wash their hands? I mean, it's important. When they don't have a show, people need to do that. I mean, Gardens on Spring Creek do a great job of bringing in portalettes for 1,500 people. They have a whole platform, they line them up, and they're all clean, and then they take them away. That's great, but you need a place to wash your hands, and if you're gonna go to the park in between, which Gardens on Spring Creek doesn't allow, you gotta go to the restroom, and you have to wash your hands.
The other consideration with that too, and not to go down the bathroom path, but everybody does, and you can figure out the rest of that sentence, is permanency versus temporary. And when yes, permanency comes with a higher price tag up front, but when you go down the temporary route, then you're chasing contracts, you're having turnover. There's a lot of other variables that come into play with that. And I think that moving forward, you know, doing something more permanent in structure, plumbed, and, you know, getting the Cadillac up front, kind of the buy once, cry once, personally, I think is a better solution, just because there's so much ambiguity and wildness of contracting that personally I wouldn't want to put on the town staff. So,
Yeah.
there you go, Keith. Is that for you?
Thank you. Thank you. Lauren, do you want to sum it up? Or as the committee to make sure we got all the comments for
Oh,
sure?
do we have more public comment?
Oh, yep.
I just wondered, is the ADA number of parking spaces, is that based as a percentage of the total that the amphitheater holds? Or how do you know how many spaces you should have?
I looked it up. The ADA had guidelines. It was like 20 for the first 1,000 people, and then 1 for every 100 people after that.
Yeah,
Does that
yeah,
sound
there's a
right?
ratio based on the capacity.
We're
Yeah.
leaving that.
We're close right now. We could
We'd
fit
need
in the
25,
additional
but yeah.
And as we get more detailed in the design, we'll show where the locations are for accessible seating within the amphitheater itself. But the stage will be accessible as well, all of those things.
Thank you. Any other public comment before we wrap up? Sum up the. No? Okay. So you want me to kind of.
Yeah,
Bring it all together?
If we could try to bring it all, yeah. If we,
All right. So our.
I think you did, right?
Yeah, the design, the round of number 1, the design of number 2, and the parking of number 3, adding bathrooms and making sure there's plenty of accessible parking and round turnarounds and things like that. And so I think we've kind of touched on all those pieces. And obviously this is a, 10% design is what we're calling this. So this is very preliminary. So when will we see this back?
I think in April we have something.
We have, so what we've been showing on schedule-wise so far, and I can actually have that in here. There it is. We're at the pink circle today. We're presenting you the 10% concepts, and then we're coming back. We have it coming back in May, basically, with almost like the finalized plan and just showing you how everything shook out. And we're also taking that to the board.
Do you think I'd had something early April to show them? An update
Yes, we could.
that
do
I
that.
could. I
Yeah,
do,
we could
yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just to go instead of going from 10 to 100.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
For
In case
sure.
there's anything else. I appreciate all that. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
Anything else from?
I just want to get round amphitheater number 1. What was number 2?
Design of number 2,
Okay.
like overall kind of
Yep.
concept design of number 2, and then access and roads and parking of number 3.
Yep. Got it. Great.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. A lot of good comments. A lot of good conversation. It's like we've done a few concepts in the past, So it's
This
great.
was my first
It's like
concept.
we've done this a few times.
It's good. And yeah, so we knew access. We had to figure out flow. Yeah, the stakeholder interviews brought up a lot with proper flow, for sure, and how to manage musicians a little bit differently. Because they come in late, they park their buses. Sometimes, depending on who you have, and you want to do that in an area that's not that's a little more private, I guess. So. There's a lot of fun details to still figure out through this. So cool. That's great.
All right.
I have a final question.
Yeah.
The CDOT approval is not on this schedule. Does that assume that their decision or their permits will be outside of the schedule, that this will just roll out regardless of what?
We're sorry to interrupt.
No, that's the
Yeah,
question.
we're hoping to have discussion with them through this month and have something in April that's pretty concrete. I don't think we want to move much further into the design until we have their
So the
feedback
final
strong.
concept will include what's been approved.
That's the hope. Yeah.
Okay, great.
I don't think that process is going to take multiple months. So I know.
You say so.
I don't know. Maybe you have more luck with CDOT, but
Yep.
I have a feeling that they might give a direction of what they would approve, but we're not getting. I don't think you'll get approval from them.
But at least kind of knowing what their
Yeah,
thought process
we'll at
is,
least
and
know like that's possible to get.
'cause I think they're good at hard nose, right?
Yeah.
They're good at hard nose. The yeses are a little harder to get from them, but good at hard nose.
Yeah. I think we'll have an idea. Yeah. Not like I said. I'll keep all the emails that they send back. For sure. But you said
Well,
this.
it probably happens to you all the time that you're spending your time and energy with an assumption of access that will be granted. And at what point does that become inefficient because you might have to go way back in the design process due to a CDOT decision?
Yeah, but they usually, I mean, the jurisdiction up here might be better, but they can usually tell you this isn't going to be a problem, or this one maybe it's pushing your luck. So we'll at least know that,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Harder to get approval, or
Right.
it'll be
Right. Yeah. What's nice is it seems like we have the same folks we've been working with for a while there. The Arboretum had a good win. They originally declined irrigation along Mountain Avenue there, but then as the design got finished out, basically because when you have irrigation next to the road, they want an under drain to catch extra water so it doesn't travel under the roadway and damage the
Undermine the road.
subgrade of the roadway. So they want an under drain. Well, we already have a bunch of trees there planted, and lights, and you can't put an under drain in without taking out all those trees. So yeah, they ended up approving that, but it took.
Way easier than the railroad.
Yeah.
That's all.
That was a great win for us, and now those trees can have irrigation, and our guys don't have to park the truck next to the side of the road.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Can we move on to staff updates?
Mhm.
Okay. Staff updates.
Staff updates, and I will throw this. This will probably go to the board. We might take an update in April, is my guess. Just so if you do see it as to confirm the board's also good with everything. But I think through the comments today, I think everyone's on the. I think these are all good comments to work through, and we'd like to have it maybe a little more further along for the board to provide feedback on. So there might be an update for the board sometime in April, and then final design hopefully in May is the plan. Let's see. Changes coming to our standard processes and stuff. One, the agenda system is going to change. I don't know if it's just more on my side. I think we're still going to email out the agenda, or you're going to have to, or it's automatically going to be sent out somehow. Something's changing with, it's not like me giving, sending a PDF out anymore. I don't know if that's still going to be the case. The whole agenda thing's changing on the website. I think video and everything's going to be linked to it. So, and I think it's going to timestamp and stuff the videos too. Like if you want to look through agenda and discussion items and things like that. So,
Oh, okay. That's cool. Click on an item and it'll take you to that part of the
I
video.
think the
kind of a
board
thing?
meetings will be done like that.
Very
and
cool.
the
I have
meetings-
scrolled through a 3-hour meeting looking for something.
Yep.
So I appreciate that.
Yep. I think that's all happening. A few other towns in the area have it. So, I do know that I have to do some different procedure when I send the agenda out next month. So, following the training meeting in February, there was a few questions people talked about. Randy with the tree advisory committee had that question about going door to door and promoting the cost share. I think that was talked through with the committee again. I think the agreement, what feels comfortable is like it's equally spread out. So our town forester sent an email that went out to all HOAs and metros, I believe, that said, hey, please pass this out to everyone in town.
Oh.
Just because there was that gray area of, yes, you could go as a neighbor and do it, like promote like, hey, the town has a cost share program, but it is also, it didn't seem fair that not the whole town was getting that opportunity. Does that make sense? Does everyone remember that question? There was a question about emails, and I guess that got worked through, and you all will be getting town of Berthoud emails. And that'll be a thing for all new committee members. We'll get a town of Berthoud email. So that is an Outlook email. So if you don't use Outlook, you have to either download it or add it to something. And so all emails from now on will go to that email. So you would have to be responsible for checking that email and having that. So I know that's multiple emails. But that gets rid of the personal emails being used.
When
through
is
the
that
process.
happening? That the emails go to the town email?
It could possibly be this sometime in March or April. I think I haven't got an update on it, but I was told it's going to happen. So I think it might be in March. So I haven't seen anything else from it, but
And somebody will communicate that we need to go activate and stuff. Okay.
yep.
Is there going to be a port specific email, like port@berthoud.org, so that it doesn't, so that people don't have to send it to each individual member?
I don't think so.
Because I love that about the town. I was so excited with the board when that happened, and I didn't have to copy and paste all the emails into.
I'll check on that. I don't think so yet, but
That's a pretty straightforward PDL build. They can do.
okay. Would you guys prefer that?
I just think it'd be nice for people to communicate with us, and then one of us isn't getting information that the other board member, like if somebody's sending in comments, we're all getting it instead of one. I mean, people could reach out individually, just like how the board has individual, but then if there's something that they want the port committee to know, then they're not having to do that legwork of adding all the emails. Or
Okay.
When is the best way to catch up on that training? Because I wasn't around, and it sounds like you discussed some interesting things.
It was a very good training. So there should be a YouTube video out there.
Okay.
On
check.
Berthoud's
I
YouTube
almost
from the
will.
February meeting. That presentation was shared with the minutes, and that's what she went through. But she had a lot of good examples from a variety of other towns that she's done this presentation with or worked through in some capacity. So it definitely did. Callie, were you there too?
I wasn't there, but
Right
I
there.
saw the presentation attached to your
Yeah.
email today, was it, that I read over?
I might need to just do my homework. Sorry, y'all. It's 7:30.
No, it's great. I was gonna recommend everyone watches the presentation if you haven't seen it. She does really just go through that, but I thought at the end there was a lot of good questions. I know Lauren had a question about Facebook and responding on Facebook, and it's a tough one to answer because it's like, who are you? You don't know who you're really responded to, and when misinformation starts going, it is tough. But I think the town takes a balanced approach on it. Sometimes they get in there and make the response, and sometimes it's just trolls or something, right? You don't know who you're working with, so I think I think we have a good community outreach going with that. So you're welcome to forward me anything if you see it, but I don't think there's a great answer for jumping in and answering that. It seems like when you do answer, you just get hit even harder.
I don't know. I think I've gotten good responses from people when
Okay.
they'll say something and you'll say, well, actually, this is what we talked about and this is what it is. And they'll be like, oh, okay, great, thanks. And I think I've gotten both sides of it where they're like, well, I'm not voting for anything that requires more taxes, or, you get that response too.
Yeah.
But I think people are grateful for information and like I said, I think Carolyn and I both, when we've responded to people, have been in the, hey, why don't you come to one of our meetings and come talk to us? Like, come have a moment and public comment or whatever that, because people are very quick to say things online that they don't necessarily say here. But I think people have been relatively pleasant in those moments. Or if you just say, hey, like that, no, it's actually going to be this instead, or, however that looks. And then they're like, oh, great. So I don't know. I have not had a bad trolling experience
Okay.
in the times that I've commented on things.
That's good.
Yeah.
We like to hear.
And I always put links like to the town meetings or the, different information that might be helpful. The port plans and all that.
That's
kind of
good.
stuff. It's like,
That's
hey,
very
look
good.
at this. So,
Well,
anyway.
thank you. Yeah. I think that's it from that meeting that popped up. Unless there's anything else you guys think I missed.
No.
Oh, actually, I had a question. The work in Wagner Park, was that just stormwater stuff, like over the last 3 months ish?
Yes.
Finished up. Okay.
Yes. There was no trickle pan, basically connecting the outlet to the inlet to the outlet. You get a lot of nuisance flows in that pond that come from possibly groundwater and the development Vantage or something. So you just constantly had water flowing into there, and it was making its way through, but it also sits and you get a lot of cattails and things like that. So now hopefully having that trickle channel, the water just follows the concrete channel, exits. It doesn't have to sit there and hopefully all those cattails and things like that. And they put a trickle channel up in Heron Point too, at the same as part of the same project. Just an update on Jaskowski because we finished the design in December. It went to Colorado Open Lands in January, and then they've sent back some stuff this week finally. So I got to answer a few questions. But the goal is we'd put a plan and bring some costs together and share that with the board in the next couple months for them to possibly approve it. So there's nothing. There is no money. I was mistaken. I thought there was money budgeted this year for sure, but it'd be something we'd have to request to do that. So that's where that is sitting. The Richardson project, Mountain Vista, your guys' comments with the pool from the previous meetings were incorporated. So that dive well turn was taken away, and it was, if you haven't caught the board meetings, there are the 2 diving boards now, and there's a deep end. So it's more of a square pool with the resort style 0 entry thing going off to the side. So it's kind of a mixture between the Wagner pool and the old pool. So the only difference, there's no dive well. You do have 12-foot deep ends all the way across, and then you need to have 2 diving boards. So those comments were incorporated. I haven't heard the schedule when that's going back to the board for sure yet. We did a cost analysis with kind of bid out there, and we had 4 contractors provide costs on it. A couple of them came close to what we thought the project would come in at, so we're kind of working through that, and that would go to the board of trustees. I would assume sometime this month.
It's the 10th for the cost.
Wave your hands. Did the other ones come in high? Is that, you said a couple of them came in close to?
Yeah, a couple of them were closer, a couple of them were higher. Yeah. So pretty standard when you put a bunch of bids out. But that was positive that it came in. A couple firms think they can build it for what we thought they could be built for. So, but of course it goes to the board to decide on that. So you might see that. Check the board agendas to see if that's, I guess, when that's getting added on there.
It's the 10th.
Okay.
Yeah.
April 10th? Or March 10th?
Yeah, it's a discussion on whether or not we want to move forward with one of the bids of the 4.
Okay.
And that would be to, you can get into all what that means. It's, finishing the design of the aquatics area is kind of the next step to, finish it. And then we have a contractor on board that helps us figure out how to keep it within the budget range that we want. Instead of bringing them on at the end and then being like, you guys should have designed it this way and that way. So it's the same process that went through with the rec center and we'd love to do it with every project because we do these designs without a contractor there, and whenever you bring a contractor on, they want to start changing the designs. And sometimes it's good and bad, but then it's nice to bring them on a little bit early and get some feedback on how to construct it and where can you save costs and where have they saved costs for other towns previously. So definitely a good exercise. The Arboretum is out for bid right now, so we would expect the bids back, I think April 7th, and then we'd assess those and possibly take those to the board in April or May to see if it's something we want to build and go forward.
And there is funding for the Arboretum, correct, in this year's budget?
Monday, March 30th is the open space meeting that is going to take place. This meeting, again, is part of a public outreach. Part of it has to do with us getting a couple grants recently to purchase a few of the farm properties we looked at on our tour last year. So I think there's a focus on the Little Thompson, but it's also the town sharing where does open space fit into all our comp plans or open space plans. What's the town's overall goal with open space? Share that with a variety of people that want to show up to that. Colorado Open Lands will be there to share how they partner with private owners or with the town or with to conserve land. And Larimer County will be there to share how they've partnered with the town on areas around town, to also share their goals as well. So,
And Keith, what's the time and location of that?
it'll be here in this room. I believe it's Monday, March 30th. I think it's from 5:30 to 6 is kind of like an open house where there'll be a display and some maps and tables. You can check things out. From 6 to 7, you would expect the presentation and Q&A for anyone who has questions, and then we'd have an open house from 7 to 7:30 for folks who want to stick around and ask more questions as well. So I
Okay.
think that's it for me. Amanda, do you have anything you want to share?
Quite a few events coming up. St. Patty's Day run is March 14th. And then Mother Sucker Mania is March 21st. Summer brochure is active April 1st. We have spring break March 16th. So that week will be busy. It's also extended open swim, so you need a place for your kids to go. And we do have girls flag football this year.
Yay.
So that's something that's new. We do need quite a few more girls to get that to go. So if you know anybody that can girls that want to play flag football, send them our way. And then we do have adult softball. We have 2 teams. We need a few more teams to get that to go. So if you can know anybody that adults that want to play softball. And we have our spring craft fair in April. We had over 80 vendors apply, and we will be accepting almost, I think, 70. So another big turnout. Awesome. Still going. We are looking for daytime lifeguards though. So if you know anybody that can do daytime lifeguarding, we are in kind of desperate need. So we could use some lifeguards.
Great, thank you. All right.
All right. We can move on to committee updates. Start with Carrie. Anything?
I do not have anything.
Okay. Allie?
I don't have anything.
Eleanor?
I'm happy to be here.
Michael?
Good.
Carl?
So, some of you have probably noticed that my name is not on the ballot for the election coming up. It has been a pleasure working with all of you, but I'm going to be replaced after the next meeting.
Oh. So you'll
So
be
it's my
done.
second to last meeting.
Wow. Are you
Here.
moving on?
My plan is to move back up north, either
Oh.
to Loveland or Fort Collins, just to be closer to work.
Well, thank you for all your hard work for
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
and with us.
Yeah, thank you.
You get your bedtime back.
Get my bedtime back some of the
Yeah.
days.
Yep.
Yeah.
And service to the town. You've
Yeah.
done a lot.
No, thank you.
All right. Anything else other than you're leaving us?
Nope, that's it. He already filled in most of them.
All right. With that, if I can get a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second. All right. Meeting adjourned.